What's up, y'all? Polo Sports Talking Entertainment here again with another one. Be sure to hit that like button, sub to the channel if you're not a member, and also hit the notification so that you're able to get all of my content as well as all of my videos. Now, last night, uh, the Memphis Grizzlies, they went ahead and they took care of business, in which they defeated the Minnesota Timberwolves uh, in a exciting blowout game, 124 to 96. Um, of course, I think the big story here, believe it or not, took place off the court, in which Ja Morant's dad and Carl Anthony Towns' dad, had a little, friendly little competition and debate going on, and me myself personally, I think them guys are on to something. Them guys should have actually a show or a podcast. Both of them guys are real charismatic individuals, and they don't seem shy in front of the camera or whatever. And them being able to debate, that's kind of, it gives kind of that barbershop feel of the brothers, getting together and everything. But anyways, I ain't gonna stay on that. But that's something to look for. I think that would be a good uh a good podcast idea for them guys right there, because they definitely, to me, they kind of stole the show or whatever. But nevertheless, man, let me get right to the game, okay? uh Ja Morant, of course, he had 23. um you know what they also have to understand is that they had 7 guys that were in double figures, okay? Jaren Jackson Jr. had 16 to go along with one block and 7 rebounds. Bane had 16. Clark had 13. Tillman had 13. Tyus Jones had 10, and Williams had 13. Okay, and a big bulk of their points did come from off the bench. And when we're talking about bench scoring, I mentioned Miami, but we also got to understand that Memphis, they're pretty deep too as well. Okay, on the other end, not too great of a day for Minnesota. Okay, Karl Anthony Towns struggled. Okay, he had 15 and 11. I mean, he had 2 blocks, but he had 5 turnovers. Okay, and those were very costly turnovers, which I'm going to touch on in a sec, because Karl Anthony Towns does need to get the smoke, and Anthony Edwards too. Uh, he shot 40% from three. Uh, but he was 7 to 16 from field goals. Only had 20 points, but he, along with Karl Anthony Towns, had 5 turnovers as well. Okay, uh, the other guys had Prince had 12, and Reed had 12, and D'Lo, not. I'm gonna get on him too. Uh, very poor shooting night, man. He only had 11 points. Okay. Now, I think the biggest story too, besides the Pops, and besides the fact of how inefficient and poorly Minnesota played, was something that Ja Morant had really said after the game. Okay, and when Chris Haynes was with him, he just had this mentality, like you could just see it in his eyes. And He's not here to take any prisoners. John Morant, he's not here to try to be any friends with anybody. He's a competitive individual and everything. Don't get me wrong, he's a humble individual, but what I like about him is that when he has a bad game or doesn't have a good output one game, he tries to come back and prove himself to get better that very next game and have a short-term memory of what took place the previous game. And that right there, that mentality right there, when they talk about who be the next, superstar to carry or the face of the league and everything as they're ushering in this new talent, that right there is perfect to me. Now, in my opinion, right now, moving on at the face of the league, it is Giannis. Okay, it is Greek the Freak or whatever. But uh, when we're talking about compiled other young individuals, other young talent that's being marketed, I've said it before. John Morant is definitely that guy. Okay, listen, Memphis is gonna. This is gonna be an exciting series because it's captivating because you're seeing the youth, you're seeing that next generation at the forefront, being able to take over. You know what I'm saying? Memphis is definitely a young team. They showed that last year against Golden State. Uh, you know, when they shocked the world pretty much in a play Golden State or whatnot. Uh, as far as Minnesota, they definitely have a future as well, especially when you talk about a guy like Anthony Edwards. Now, look, I'm not going to get ahead of myself saying that Anthony Edwards is the next this guy or the next that guy. Nah, he's just he's just who he is, okay? And he's gonna be something. He's gonna be something, or could be something great. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but he could. You could see the potential in him. Now, I've been very critical of a guy like Anthony Edwards because of his attitude that he had when he first before he had even dribbled in basketball, and when he was saying that the way that he felt about basketball and how he was saying that he really wasn't really focused on basketball and everything. I was highly critical of that because I was like, okay, so what are you playing for? What did you declare to the draft for from Georgia? Why do you even play? Because if you do that, you're not only shortchanging the organization, you're shortchanging your family, you're shortchanging the fans, and also you're shortchanging yourself too as well. You know, but besides all that, I'm glad that he's came in with a reshaped focus, and he has changed. He looks to be hungry and looks to prove to be one of the more exciting young talents going forward in the future. Now, having said all of that, let's get to the nitty gritty of this thing. Minnesota, man, uh, they play horrible. Now, D'Lo, I'm going to talk about his shooting efficiencies. Okay, he was 3 of 11. Okay, and played really, really, really poorly. Do I believe that he'll bounce back somewhat? Or this struggle could continue on. However, what he has to do a better job of, and like I've said about many other players, is that when your shot is not going, such as when I was talking about Kevin Durant, if your shot is not going or your offense ain't coming along, which you're going to struggle because in the playoffs, I've said time and time again, the game is going to slow down. What you're going to have to do is you're going to have to look to do other things. Okay. That's that doesn't even have to be in a regular NBA game. That could be in just a regular pickup game. If you find that If you're sitting there trying to force stuff, then 9 times out of 10, guess what? You're forcing your team into a bad situation. You know what I'm saying? If you see that your shot ain't going after the first couple shots or whatever, then you're gonna have to go ahead and do some other things, such as playing solid defense, such as doing the other intangibles or whatnot. And distributing the ball, making that extra pass. You know what I'm saying? Even screen setting. I know some people don't really look at that sort of thing or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Or movement without the ball or whatever, or just hustle plays in order to get yourself flowing back into the game because you sitting there shooting 3 of 11, 3 of 11 from the field, and 2 of 7 from three. That's not good. Okay. In comparison, I could deal with a 7 of 16 and you know, I think Anthony Edwards. He shot what 4 or 5 from three, but he was taking some ill-advised shots as well, including some stuff that was going off on the backboard and stuff like that. He was kind of shooting like how he was in some shots, like he was last year. Okay, uh, getting on Anthony Edwards too. Got to work on the turnovers. Of course, that's youth. Okay, but I expect more from D'Lo because he's been in the league a little bit longer, and of course he plays the position. I haven't always been a D'Angelo Russell fan, but his playmaking, his decisions could be a lot better, especially when you consider the floor general. Okay, because yesterday he was let's see what it was. He was a negative 26. Okay, he was a negative 26. Him and Patrick Beverly had the highest negative on the floor. Okay. Um, Another thing that I think needs to be pointed out too is Karl Anthony Towns. Look, man, I like Karl Anthony Towns, and I give him props for being resilient in terms of what he had to go through and the adversity that he went through concerning his mom and that situation and stuff like that. I get all of that. But at the same token, nobody cares about that, unfortunately, when you're playing against competition, inferior competition that's trying to win. And five turnovers is not going to get it done. You led the team in turnovers yesterday, you and Anthony Edwards, in which y'all are considered the best guys on the team or the most talented ones, right? Um, 5 turnovers is not good. Okay. Yes, you had 11 rebounds. Yes, you had 2 blocks, but 5 turnovers, and I saw those turnovers. It was like you were throwing the ball to the other team, and I don't think anybody's pointing that out. Well, hey, that's what we're here for. We're here to help you out. We're gonna point that out. I'm gonna point that out. Other individuals in the LDBC community are gonna point that out. And if they haven't, hey, I'm here to do that. Okay, I can't give Anthony Karl Anthony Towns any passes. Neither can I give Anthony Edwards any passes either as well. Like I said, if I'm critical of my team or Harden or just like when I was talking about in another segment with Jokic, guess what? You got to get the smoke too when you're messing up. And Karl Anthony Towns did not have a good game at all. And if he keeps doing what he's doing, he's gonna put Minnesota in a bad position. Him and Anthony Edwards, and as well as D'Lo too. Okay, those guys got to play better. Now the game was getting physical. It was getting chippy, and that's how it's supposed to be. Guys, they're gonna be getting a little physical. You're playing against each other all the time. You're gonna be getting on each other's nerves. You're not. going to get the shots that you're normally supposed to get. Coaches are going to start figuring out more tendencies and habits that you're doing and stuff like that, and it's gonna get more and more tough and more rugged. But I think Memphis is going to pull this series out just based off the fact of their energy, and they got so many guys off that bench that could get it done. Their bench is such a firepower. You know what I'm saying? Them and Miami, them guys are really, really deep. And another team that nobody's looking at in terms of their bench too is Boston. But that's a whole nother story. Look, I'm gonna tell you like this, okay? Do I believe that this series will go seven? No. Okay. However, however, they did still won at their house. Okay. And that's something to be said. And they could capitalize upon that because that could give them confidence to say, okay, hey, look, we won on the road. Okay. So we definitely should be able to win at home. Now, another thing that needs to be pointed out too is that Ja is dangerous on the road too. Okay. So that's going to be something to look at too. Will Ja be able to come in and take the life out of the arena like he's been known to do in whatever big arena and hostile crowd that he's been able to do in the past. Okay. Uh, Ja Morant is one of those players that does want to smoke. Jaren Jackson Jr. is one of those guys that wants to smoke. Okay. Even when we talk about Dylan Brooks, he is one of those guys that definitely is not, is not afraid to get the, take that smoke or whatnot. Now Dylan Brooks, he didn't play his best game. Okay, he shot poorly too. Okay, but he still was able to get his win, and that's the thing. He was still a plus 17 because of his playmaking and his hustle because he was doing what he could on defense. Okay, uh, and I thought that Bane was able to complement that, and that's another thing too. See, they when one guy is off, such as a guy like Steven Adams, uh, who who was didn't play that many minutes or whatever because I think they made a lineup change that because they were running small, they wanted to go small. So that was something to be looked at too as well. So when it comes to Memphis and what they're trying to do and everything, it could work. Look, they had a bad game that first game, and I don't expect them to have too many more. Ja Morant is too much of a competitor, and Ja Morant is also showing that he's a leader. An emotional leader that I don't think is getting enough credit either is Jaren Jackson Jr. Jaren Jackson Jr. is an emotional leader, and he's a defensive anchor that I don't think anybody's really paying attention to. So you know we'll have to see what takes place with this squad, with both squads really. I would love for it to go 7 games because I think it's an exciting series, and it's also a good test for Memphis too as well. Because Memphis, they people have said that you know even though they were clearly one of the best and the hottest teams in the league and everything, a lot of people feel like a lot of pressure is on Memphis because of them being that second seed or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? So y'all let me know what y'all think, man. Leave your comments, like the video, share it, subscribe, hit the notification. Polo Sports Talk and Entertainment. I'll get at you later.